In this episode, I want to share with you the contents of an emergency kit that always lives in my Hardshell kayak. This is stuff I just want to have with me all the time, whether I'm doing a single day trip or a multi-day trip, whether I'm close to town or far away. I just like having this stuff with me all the time for peace of mind. If I'm doing an overnight trip, I'm going to carry more than this. This is just a base level of stuff that I like to have based on issues I've had in the past on trips and things I either had or wish I had, and I think are just crucial for emergencies. So first of all, a few things in case you stay out and it's cold or you're on the river late. I bring a couple of these emergency blankets. They come in packs of like 8 or 10, so you gotta buy a lot of them. I bring 2 with me. This will help if somebody's super cold or as an emergency shelter in case you have to stay out overnight. I also bring these strikeable fire starters to help start a fire, and a bomber lighter, a little butane lighter that can like help get a fire going. It's really hard to get a fire going when it's wet, so having a lot of stuff that's helpful. I also carry this headlamp. I love these little Petzl emergency headlamps. I've done an episode on these before. They pack really easily. They're in this like protective case, and they're waterproof up to 1 meter. So if you had to paddle out at dusk or dark, and you have some light to help do that. I wouldn't recommend paddling in the dark, but it would certainly help to have this light. It's not super bright, but it's a good light. It's small, and it's a little waterproof, which is really helpful. So next is first aid. This is the first aid kit that I did a separate episode on. I like this kit. I took some stuff out. I added some stuff in. You'll have to watch that episode to see exactly what's in here. But this is mostly comfort stuff. Like you get a bump or a bruise, you want some Advil. This is just nice first aid stuff. It's a small package, kind of base level stuff for a single day trip. There's a few bigger things I like to carry with me for more serious things that actually do commonly happen on kayaking trips. One of them is a dislocated shoulder. And so if you want to immobilize a dislocated shoulder, it is really nice to have a couple of these triangular bandages to sling and swath. They don't weigh much, they're simple, they're cheap, but really nice to have if you have to immobilize somebody's shoulder if they dislocate it. Next is a SAM splint. You could have somebody break something else or hurt something else. A lot of first aid people think these are ridiculous. Other ones, people swear by them. I'm kind of in between. But for me, like having something like this with me, because it's hard to improvise when you're kayaking. You don't typically have a lot of other stuff with you, so it's hard to improvise some sort of whatever this is, splint. So this is nice to have. Also an ace bandage to wrap it up. It's just nice to have an ace bandage. You could wrap an ankle or something too. These things are really helpful. CPR is something we should probably train for and we should have protection for. And I have a little tiny CPR mask in my PFD, but I also carry this bigger one if you have to do extended PFD in the back of my boat. It's just irreplaceable. If somebody drowns, you're really going to want this, and it's something you can always have with you just in case of emergency. Next is sort of like swift water rescue stuff. I think kayaking, the most valuable tool is your throw bag for most emergencies. But if you need to do some sort of mechanical advantage for a pin, I really like these little pulley carabiner things. They're light, they're simple. It takes almost no space. If I had to do some sort of mechanical advantage for a pin kayak, nice to have. I also attached my bag with a carabiner, and I have a sling and carabiner in my PFD. So with all this stuff, and a prusik too. I have a prusik, a few carabiners, this pulley carabiner. I have some basic tools to do some basic sort of rope rescue type of stuff. And then finally the bag. I think the bag is critical. You can put all this stuff in a little cheap dry bag, but if it's gonna live there for a year, 2 years longer, it's gonna get wet. Like there aren't many dry bags that are actually dry for extended just beating. And so especially if you swim and your boat gets wet a lot, I'm gonna put this in a watershed bag. Watershed bags are expensive, but they work, and they work for a long time. I have a lot of faith in this. So I will put all the stuff in my watershed bag, close it up, and I will shove it in the back of my kayak and hopefully never use it. This is just the just in case stuff. This stuff just lives back there just in case. So those are my thoughts. This is what I carry. If you have more ideas, like more things you bring, let me know. I'd love to hear. That's how I learn. These are things I think are useful. If you're like, oh, Zach, I think you should have this, I'd love to hear it. I may disagree. I might think it's ridiculous. But a lot of times I'm like, oh, that's a really useful thing. Thank you for sharing. So if you have things to add, if you have things to subtract, if you think SAM splints are ridiculous, just tell me. Like I'm kind of torn on whether to bring this or not. It's 15 bucks. It fits in there, so I do. But if you have thoughts about things I do bring, please do let me know. And there's an Amazon shopping list down in the description below. If you click on that, all of these things are there. We get a small commission if you click the links or if you buy stuff from the link. So if you do, cool. If you don't, no big deal. But yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you got something out of this, and I'll see you in the next episode. Thanks.